Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone that is joining me today, this Thursday morning, April 14th, 2022. And wherever you're joining me from in the world, on whether you're on YouTube Live or you're on Facebook Live, I do these talks every single Thursday morning, Pacific Standard Time. And I just want to let you know today's topic is spiritual anger. What is spiritual anger? So I'm just going to wait just a little bit for those of you to find me because I had to kind of reset the timing of it. My computer was slow to open. Let's just say I had many opportunities this morning to feel my spiritual anger. And it's a powerful subject, so I can see why all the electrical systems around me were just like, what? What are we going to do with all this energy? So, good morning, Rebecca. Awesome, awesome. Rebecca from YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Judy from Facebook. So I see that we have about 18 of you on who have found me. Good morning, Angela. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our full-on experience all the way up through Monday on my Intuition with Precision page, which is just simply the private membership page that is a branch of Intuitive Mind. So Intuitive Mind is my business name. Intuitivemind.org is my website. So we started off last week really talking about, anxiety and panic and, how to be able to use some simple energetic tools to help you get on the other side of it. I've heard so many stories from you all from, having out of control panic attacks, the Monday before the classes started on Tuesday, and now it's almost completely resolved where they're just not having that paralyzing anxiety and fear. I've had a few others write me, and I just thought, oh, we're hitting the sweet spot now, who said, wow, once they cleared their anxiety and their fear and their panic, it was like, oh my gosh, I've got a lot of rage underneath there. And I'm like, yes, that means that you are having another level of conscious awareness of that. You might have a few things to be angry about underneath there, and in your attempt to kind of put a lid on it, that red is just bumping up against it, and you might be just a little anxious about what's going to happen if you unleash what I call the sleeping dragon, or don't wake the sleeping bear. But there is a really beautiful thing about spiritual anger, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. However, kind of want to add this little trigger warning because I'm going to be talking about kind of anger triggers, and it may kind of spark your own, I'm going to call it red, it may spark your own red. And I'm going to say, I have my Sangoma beads on today, and let's just say I earned every single one of these red beads. This is part of my initiation, which I'm going to talk about, but I earned every one of these red beads. So good morning. I see everyone coming on. It's lovely to see you. So let me just start off by saying, could we be on this call for the next several hours for me to talk about this subject? No, we're going to try to keep it in 30 minutes. I'll do my best, but I can't imagine it. All right. Spiritual rage is an indicator. So this is what I want you to really hear. It's different than just anger. It's different than just rage. It's like this, it can appear in your life as kind of this murderous rage where you really feel like you could take someone out and it would gleefully feel good, So I'm naming it, I've experienced it, and that's when I realized that everyone, if they can't manage their spiritual anger, their red, at that murderous rage level, everyone's capable of causing hurt or harm to someone else if that isn't managed. So we're going to talk just a little bit more. Nancy Murray, yes, just keep going for the next 3 hours. So, how many of you, now I'm not just saying anger, if you feel like coming out of the closet a little bit to say you have really experienced out of control rage, or I might identify it as murderous rage, out of control, murderous rage. Yeah, just make a little comment in the comment section, because I'm going to describe a little bit about what this is. When you get in touch with your red, or that powerfully strong spiritual rage, spiritual anger, it can be especially difficult for those who might have said at some point in your life, I don't have an angry bone in my body. Now, I'm speaking from experience. I literally said that. I literally said to my spiritual teacher, I don't have an angry bone in my body. And I'll tell you, when that belief system that I held as a truth was revealed to me as a big fat lie, I had to eat my words. Because when that murderous rage hit, it was on a day where I was just kind of minding my own business. I'd been in spiritual school for about 5 years. Yvonne was on her way home from the store. She called to see if I needed anything. And I said, if you value your life, you will not come home. That's all I could say. Those are the only words I could say. It was not funny. There was no part of it was funny. And for Yvonne, when she recalls it, she'll say, whoa, I'd never seen or heard Nancy like that. And she listened. She went to stay with her mom a couple nights. And it was really helpful for me, because I didn't have to be nice nurse Nancy. I could just let that rage rip, just let it go, let it move through my system. But the first part of that expression was almost in the fetal position in the bed, because I couldn't figure out where this anger was coming from. I had no reason to feel anger. So anyway, got through it on the other side. And then I spent the next 5 years making friends with that really strong spiritual red that wanted to come through me. So remember, I said I've earned every single one of these red beads. Have you ever made a sandcastle before? And if you've made a sandcastle at the beach, you're going to put a little bit of sand in the bucket, and then you would take your little fist and you push down on that sand and you really pack it down. And then you put another layer of sand on, and then you pack that down, and another layer, another layer, another layer, until the bucket is nice and full and really packed. And I remember as a kid standing up in my little body and taking both my little fists and just pushing down. And I remember having my other friends help me push it down. So when you say, I don't have an angry bone in my body, and I don't know why I'm feeling this rage, because I don't really have any reason in my life to feel enraged. Well, I did. And what I discovered with the help of my teacher was when my teacher said, when you were really little and you were maybe playing and you knocked over a vase, did your parent put you in the corner? You're being punished, or you have to go to bed. When you threw a fit, did you get a spanking? When you hit another kid with another toy, did you get a beating? It's like, and you're red as a little child, that little red wants to come through and help you clear energy. But we are taught to not express anger. And we're taught in our Western society in an enormous way. So what happens when you are in a spiritual process? So here I'm going to say, spiritual rage is an indicator that your spiritual growth is about ready to take you to another level of wisdom and clarity. I want you to really hear this again. When you've got spiritual rage, it's a spiritual indicator that your level of spiritual conscious awakening and expansion is about ready to go to another level. But if you have a lot of programming that tells you that if you're a spiritual being, turn the other cheek, love thy neighbor. And I'm not saying that those things aren't beautiful teachings. They absolutely are. But it cut out those experiences that we have in the human body where we just get pissed off. And remember, this is the year of justice that is correcting injustices. And there's a lot of injustices going on in the world that can really spark a lot of anger. Now, there are those of you who've been working with your red, working with your anger. You were born very fiery. You're born in this fiery sign, and you express that. And you've been making friends with that for a long time or trying to manage it. But for those like me who have no fire in my astrological chart, who is kind of docile and just kind of laid back and not hugely expressive in emotions, when that hit me, it was like a Mack truck taking me down. So let's go back to the sand castle. All right. And then that sand castle is a symbolic representation of your life force, your red, your enormously powerful expression of self is stuffed at the bottom of all those layers of sand. So when you're spiritually going through a process, you're going to take those layers off the top, off the top, off the top, off the top, off the top. And now it's like your red is free. It's like a wild stallion that just got let out of the pen. And it just wants to run and run and run and run and get all that pent up energy out. Here lies the issue. When it erupts, especially if you're doing a lot of spiritual work, because man, do we have a lot of judgment about this. When you start to wake up to your red, you want to go back to shutting it down. And so this is what I often will hear. It's like, oh, I'm too angry to be a healer. I'm too angry to be a spiritual person. I'm having trouble being Zen and being loving and compassionate. I'm just not cut out for this because I'm too enraged. And so often I will see people quit their spiritual practice. Wrong thing to do. They'll quit being a healer. Wrong thing to do. They'll really back up their life a little bit. They'll kind of stay away from people more because they don't consider themselves safe to be unleashed in public. So you back off more. Not the right thing to do. So when I first had my enraged moment, I was in psychic school. I'd been in psychic school for about 5 years. So I had been in an intense spiritual training in that 5 years. And then suddenly it's like, my body is shaking. I feel really sick. I'm crying all the time. I can't figure out what's wrong with me. And I remember I went into the school and I'm like, this is the last place I want to be, because the closer I got to my clairvoyant school, the worse I felt, the sicker I felt. Now, many of you, when you feel like this, you think, that means I'm not supposed to be in that program. This means I'm not supposed to be taking this class. This means I'm not supposed to be working with this spiritual teacher because I'm feeling angry at this spiritual teacher. Therefore, I need to quit and go to another teacher. Think I have a little experience with this? I have my own experience, and I have experience working with a lot of students over the years where this exact thing happens. And what has happened? They've hit their spiritual red. They're right there at the sweet spot. They're right ready to cross the finish line. And it's like, I can't do it. And they quit. Now, did I feel like quitting? Heck yes. I wanted to quit because it did not feel good. All right, so I get to the school, and fortunately we had a couple of really great readers there because it is a psychic reading school. And they were able to help me kind of move some energy blocks to my spiritual red. And it was like this scream came from the core of the earth, and it traveled like a rocket right up my body and right on up and right on up out the top of my head, right out of my mouth. And this blood curdling scream went through the building. I couldn't control it. I couldn't manage it. I don't even know where it came from, and it scared me. All right. I was reprimanded to taking a 2-month long break. Why? Because I couldn't manage my red. I could only come back when I could manage my own red and not spew it everywhere. All right. So that was that first time. And then of course, it happened. I said, when I told Yvonne not to come home. Another time that it happened for me, I was a hospice nurse. I'd been working as a hospice nurse for 8 years, very compassionate, very loving. One day, I felt enraged. I was going to see a lovely family, and I was angry. I went to see another lovely family, and I was angry. What was happening was my spirit was preparing me to channel a higher level of divine energy, but my body wasn't ready for it. So my body needed to run that spiritual rage to spiritualize my body so that I could hold that compassionate, deeply spiritual, sacred place with my hospice patients to make their transition over from the physical world to the spiritual world. That's not what I did. I quit. I quit my job as a hospice nurse. Why? Because hospice nurses are not supposed to be angry. My body was trying to help me burn off all that grief of 8 years of swimming in the grief of families. My spirit was trying to help me out, but I judged it as I was broken. Something was wrong with me. And so I quit my job as a hospice nurse. Okay, keep going. Spiritually, Mother Earth is going through a similar transition. Mother Earth has been hurt and harmed and neglected. There's been bloodshed, there's been war, there's been destruction, there's been deceit, there's been sexual abuse, physical abuse. There's just tons of abuse in the earth. Right now, the earth is also going through a spiritual transition, a spiritual awakening, and Mother Earth is just running just a little bit of spiritual red, well, maybe a lot, to help burn off, to help prepare Mother Earth and all of us who are living on this earth to go to the next level of our unity consciousness. But it doesn't feel good. We want it to stop. We want the tornadoes to stop. We want the volcanic eruptions to stop. We want the earthquakes to stop. We want our own rage to stop. We want all this to stop. Just stop the earth. I just want to get off. Stop. Stop, stop, stop. Don't do it. I'm going to encourage you a little bit to just keep going. But I'm going to tell you, if you've been spiritually really pushing your development a lot and you hit that rage, you're going to need a really strong teacher that you can bump up against to help you learn and help mentor you through how to manage that wild stallion that has been suppressed for so long. It just wants to run wild for a while. I remember a really dear friend went through severe depression and just couldn't get on the other side. And they were put on all kinds of medications. And I'm a nurse. I'm going to tell you, I have nothing against medication. But I remember there was a point where I said, I think you just need to go out in the woods and build a fire and all night long just rage and scream and howl at the moon. And there's something to that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my own practice as a Sangoma that helped me to realize just how true that is. And when I was in psychic school, I was guided to scream. And I remember thinking, where am I going to do that? Where in my life I can't do it in my apartment building. I can't do it in my house with my kids. But what I found was in the car, I could just crank up some really powerful music. I could roll up the windows. I could drive down the highway and just scream that rage out. So, okay. And that red helps clear out hatred, clears out abuse, clears out evil, clears out all that powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. It's an important topic, and it's important right now. So what do most of us do to help manage it? Eat, drink alcohol, do drugs. We want to become numb and stop the rage from rising into our, which ends up causing inner destruction and outer destruction. You know what I mean by that? You're either hating yourself and you're just ripping yourself, just every single chakra is getting ripped open because you just might hate yourself so much, or you're critical, or you're judgmental, or you think that you just aren't good enough. Or maybe it's just too ugly to look on the inside of you. So you just start taking everybody out outside of you. And blame is a huge indicator that your spiritual red's out of control, and you want to blame everybody else for your problems, because then guess what you don't have to do? Don't have to look at yourself. Am I speaking from a place of authority? Absolutely. Oh my God, we have so much time. We don't have much time, because I've been through it. And it wasn't pretty. Okay, and we are going through this kind of Aries-Mars conjunction that happened on April 7th. It's going to happen again on May 17th. That amplifies it. All right, let me go into what I mean about my red beads. I had a calling to become, I was being called to be a shaman, and someone asked if I could help them make a connection to South Africa so they could go through Sangoma training. And I'm just here to tell you, it just doesn't work like that. It's not like I'm going to pay for this weekend workshop and I'm going to attend it. A shaman has to recognize you as another shaman in the making. So I was recognized, had the call. I was recognized as having a call that I'm going to be working with large groups of people, and that they needed to help me to manage. The first ceremony that I went through is called an Ndiki ceremony. Ndiki is that spiritual rage. I'm so going to oversimplify this. So for high spiritual teachers, give me a break if I'm not saying it just right, because I'm trying to simplify this in a short, digestible bite. My first initiation is in Ndiki. What my teacher wants to do is push the red up to see if I can manage it. So when you go through this initiation phase in shamanism, if you can manage it, that Ndiki initiation is over. You've passed that initiation, and you can then move to your Endow initiation. That's my white beads. That's the more of the feminine aspect. Ndiki's more of the male aspect. But again, that doesn't describe it either. We can call it yin and yang. But in this first phase, when I was in South Africa, I was required to wear red. I was required to wear red and put red clay on. Now, I would tell you, in our Western culture, we are considered, in our white Western culture, we're considered kind of fragile. So I will tell you, what I had to go through to push up my red was not as much as the Zulu people might have to go through to push up their red, because I was considered a little more fragile. All right. So I had to wear red, and I had to put on red clay. And then I was required to go out in public, go out in the community. So here I'm this white woman with the red and the red clay, and I'm having to walk out in the community. I only had to do this for like 2 or 3 days. For Zulus, they have to do this for months. Because why? Because people are looking at me. That makes me feel embarrassed. It makes me feel ashamed. It makes me feel shy. Push that red, push that red, push that red. Makes me angry that I feel humiliated by my teacher. Push that red, push that red, push that red. You kind of getting that? It's like they want to push that red to the surface. They want to teach me how to manage my Ndiki. So when I'm working with thousands of people, I can channel those higher levels of energy, manage the fire, manage the rage, manage the murderous rage. Here's my initiation. 2 to 3 days, 2 nights, no sleep, dance, 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 on your knees, pray, pray, on your knees, serve food, pray, be humble, get back up, dance some more, dance, 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 serve 100 people who are at your ceremony. You're tired, you're exhausted, you haven't slept in 24 hours, you haven't slept in 36 hours. Push the red, push the red, push the red, push the red. So just want to tell you, this was my ceremony. And I had to go through this for a while until that red could burst through and I could laugh about it. I could laugh about anything. So that's what I want to tell you about this spiritual rage. Once you learn how to manage it, there's that joy, there's that peace, there's that incredible laughter, there's that fun, there's that being able to embrace life at this enormous level because that stallion of yours has come back. You've made peace with that stallion. You've climbed on the back of that stallion and you can ride like the wind with the fullest of life. Push the red, push the red. If you're going to push the red, have a good teacher that you can bump up against. But I'm telling you, I've had a lot of students that have pushed the red. The red gets pushed when you're training with me. It gets pushed. You got your stuff to come up, but sometimes they quit. Sometimes they want to murder me. It's not funny at the time. Okay. Oh my gosh, I've already run over. So let's push a little bit. We're just going to push a little red. So I learned how to push my own red so it didn't come out in public and look messy. I don't like things to look messy. But when I was in South Africa, they want you to make that mess. Make that mess. Get over that ego. Get over yourself. Get over. And the time when you were like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I want to quit. Get up and dance then. And they'd get the drum going, even if it was just for me. And they'd have, 30 people in the sacred room and they'd have me get up and dance by myself and like dance it out. So, all right, you got the picture. Okay. So we're just going to do a little meditation with red, but I've got one more story to share with you. So I had a very, very dear friend show up on my doorstep. This was 20 years ago. And this friend just came in and like, I am so enraged. I could just pick up your couch right now and throw it out the front window. And I'm like, well, please don't do that. I'm so enraged. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. And just this pacing like a wild animal that's caged in a corner, right? So I said, okay, I need you to trust me like you have never trusted anyone in your whole life. And I need you to listen to me, even though all you want to do is run and you want to break something, you want to break someone, you want to murder someone. I want you to hear my voice in the midst of your rage. They said, okay. And I'm like, all right, now we need to ground. So that was the first thing we did. And then I said, all right, we're going to bring that red. I can't bring the red up. It's making me sick. I'm like, listen to my voice. Don't listen to your voice. And I was like, push it up, push it up, push it up, push it up. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't stand this feeling. Push it up, push it up, push it up, push it up, push it up. You're almost there. You're almost there. And when that red came out of what I call the sweet spot, that's when that rage, spiritual rage, burst into the spiritual chakra. Quiet, calm, peace descended on the house. And then my friend said, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I can't believe it. I don't feel angry anymore. I said, what do you feel like? I feel empowered. I feel strong. I feel alive. I feel excited. I feel happiness. How could this be just 10 seconds before I thought I wanted to murder someone? All right, so I'm sharing that story with you. Why? Because that's what we're going to do. We're just going to lightly push up the red so you can break through the sweet spot. I want to teach you how to do this. So if you have that spiritual red come up, you can do it yourself as well. So let's go ahead and close our eyes and turn within. And let's earn some red beads. And just do a little sweet talk to your body and say, I am so sorry, honey, that I've been trying to get you to just stop being angry. I didn't understand that you had a lot of old pain to burn off and you were trying to help me and I was getting mad at you because you were getting angry. I think your body deserves some apologies. Ah, there's, remember I said trigger warning? We just kicked up a little bit. So go ahead and just ground yourself to the center of the earth. Whew. We just pushed up some stuff and it's a good thing. I always say better out than in, better out than in. So I want you to imagine any image that's a form of grounding for you to help ground and add stability to your red. It might be a tree with roots. It might be a bungee cord. It might be bear energy. It might be dragon energy. I'm going to help you all just ground that red a little bit more. Grounding, grounding with the center of the earth, and then create another image to help anchor you in. And let's go ahead and do a quick grounding of each foot. Remember, you've got foot chakras, energy centers in the arch of each foot. Let's go ahead and create a grounding cord rapidly off of each foot all the way to the center of the earth and ground deeper and deeper. And if you want to imagine stomping and dancing and stomping and dancing in your own mind's eye to shake down that bitterness, I'll just call it, that crustiness, that packed sand, and imagine doing just that. There you go. Big block of energy just dumped out. And so now we're going to just bring up a little earth energy up through the legs. And we're just going to do it rapidly. Again, just bring that earth energy up through the legs, just asking Mother Earth to send you some love through earth energy, nurturing, nourishing, enormous support up through your legs into your pelvis, and then let that Mother Earth energy tip right over, go back down the grounding. I'm trying to get the rocket bay stabilized by grounding and earth energy. Now we're going to play with a little bit of that spiritual red. I'm going to ask you to dial it down. So you might feel inspired to let her rip, but I want you to think about your body a little bit. How much red can your body really handle in this moment? Dial it back. Let's just play with, on a scale from 1 to 10 of how enraged you can get, set your intention to dial it down to a 1 or a 2. Just for this experience, dial it down. Nice. I see a few of you have it at a 4 or a 5, and if that's much more comfortable for you, then go with that. Now let's push that red up. We're going to invite that red to flow from the area below your navel, your second chakra. We're just going to imagine that red that you've suppressed or that anger. We're just going to take a tiny little bit of that red and we're just going to let it just flow up the inside of your body. Let it flow right up past your navel. This little trickle of red. Beautiful. Let this red move right up through your solar plexus. Just a little bit of red. Just going to activate the spiritual red just a little bit, right up through your chest. Some of you are starting to feel sick. Ground some more. Don't turn down the red. Even if you feel a little sick, don't turn it down, because you're going to push it up. Right up through the chest, right up through the throat. Gentle nudge, right up through the throat, expressing that red. Gentle nudge, right on up. Push, right up through the jaw, right up through the jaw, right up through the sinuses. Whew. Right up, whew, there's a little bit of emotion coming up. That's good. Right up through the sixth chakra, up, 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 up. Let it just move right through your sweet spot, the baby's soft spot when you were born. Let that red move right into your spiritual chakra to be transformed into beauty, into strength, into wholeness. A little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Remind yourself today's date is April 14th, 2022. Remind yourself of how old you are. There you go. Just let that red just flow through your aura. That sacred red, that spiritual red, just let it just transform any cloudy energy in your aura into beauty, letting it flow all the way down and around, rinsing any debris right down your grounding. Increase your grounding just a little bit more, just so you can dump anything that came up for you. Nice. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes, stretch your body, move around. We have gone 10 minutes over. I would love it if you would go ahead and post in the comments section what that experience was like for you. We are experiencing on the face of the planet and humanity a higher level of spiritual anger. The reason why is because as a whole, we are in a spiritual awakening. It is inevitable. There's no way to avoid it. When you are developing spiritually, once you make it to another level, you must go through this Indiki level. And your spirit will get you to the right place, to the right teacher, to help you learn how to work with that. Now, like Annette's saying, I had a lot of shaking. My body was shaking. Yeah, the furnace is kicking on. So what I really hoped to accomplish in this talk is to let you know you're not broken. That if you've been doing a lot of spiritual work for a long time and you hit this rage, maybe you don't need to quit that job. Maybe you don't need to quit that relationship. Maybe you don't need to quit your spiritual practice. Maybe you don't need to quit as a healer or a psychic reader. Maybe it's like, oh, my spirit's taking me to the next level and I need to give myself the time and the grace to be able to move through that. When I say I earned every one of these beads, I did. Did it happen overnight? It was about a 10-year process for me, not for everyone, but for me it was. The other thing is, Psychic Mastery 1 program closed its doors on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. My ancestors told me this morning that after this talk, many people are going to be aware and realize, oh my goodness, my spiritual growth is going to the next level, and I just might need a support program to help me support that. So I'm going to let you know we're not opening enrollment anymore, but if you want to write info at intuitivemind.org and just write why you're being called to kind of join a few days afterwards, write to Kathy Bales, and then through that process we can send you the link. So we're going to keep it open that way just a few more days. But other than that, we're in a beautiful time. We just opened yesterday to the inner mystic of what was it? Jupiter? I can't remember the two. Was it Pluto and Jupiter? Jupiter and Neptune. Oh my God, that was a big one. It's pushing us, right? How can we awaken the inner mystic if we're stuffed down at the bottom of a bucket of sand? That's the bottom line. All right. I could go on forever, but much love to you all. Be talking to you again next week. And love all your bits, even the red bits. Earn those red beads and turn that spiritual rage and anger into happiness and joy and enormous humor and laughter. All right. Talk to you later, everyone. We had a great call today. Can't wait to see you again next week.